In this video, we're going to cover the complete setup of the MemCard Pro GC, as well as transferring saves over to it. Following on the awesomeness of the MemCard Pro, 8-Bit Mods has released the MemCard Pro GC to give GameCube owners an easy way to get unlimited storage space for their GameCube. No longer do you need to worry about having multiple memory cards to store all of your games if you have a large library. It all just fits within the MemCard Pro GC and its micro SD card and its near infinite memory card creation abilities. Best of all, the MemCard Pro GC works well whether you have a homebrew enabled GameCube or just a stock system. And in this video, we're going to cover the entire setup process as well as transferring your collection of invaluable saves over to it. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, as we get started, there are a couple things you're going to need, the first of which being a MemCard Pro GC. So these are available on 8-Bit Mods' website, so they are based in the UK, so for anyone over there, this is probably the better option, but they also ship to the US. The MemCard Pros are also available through Castlemania Games or their Rondo Products rebrand that they're going through at the moment as of this video. So keep an eye out here. They're currently sold out, so just keep an eye out for when they get restocked. And the last thing we're going to need is a micro SD card of any size. You can use up to 2 terabyte cards in the MemCard Pro GC, but that is exceptionally overkill for the purposes of saving your GameCube games. And just as a heads up, you can utilize USB storage if desired using the micro USB port on the front of the MemCard Pro GC. Do note that this method does require an external power adapter, however, as the GameCube's power supply will not provide enough power to run most USB storage devices. So micro SD card is probably the better option. That being said, I am using a 32GB PNY card. I bought this triple pack a while back and I've just been using these cards throughout various products, so I now use 2 of these in both of my MemCard Pros, one for the PS1, one for the GameCube. But even 32GB is way more space than I will ever use up for a MemCard Pro. But can't argue with the cost, so get whatever works for your budget. So the first step to getting the MemCard Pro GC set up is to get the SD card prepped. So to do this, we need to get it formatted into FAT32 or exFAT format. Now, most operating systems allow you to easily format a 32GB and under capacity SD card into FAT32 or any size into exFAT with relative ease, but 8-Bit Mods recommends using the SD Card Association's SD formatting tool. So link to this will be in the description below, but you can scroll down to the download section and get it for Windows or Mac. Now, once you have this downloaded, just go ahead and get it extracted. It's in zip format, so you should be able to use most any program to do this. Once extracted, open it up and run the setup. And once the setup has completed, just go ahead and tell it to launch the program and click Finish. Now just go ahead and select your SD card from the drop-down box here. If it doesn't show up, just kind of hit refresh until it does. And we're just going to select a quick format, and then you could give it a volume if you desire. So I'm just going to name it GameCube Memory, because why not? And just click the format button. All right, well, it hated my name, so we're just going to name it GC Mem. There we go. All right, then you'll get the warning that formatting this will erase all data on the card, and you should make sure your computer is connected to a power supply if you're using a laptop or tablet. So just click on yes when you've read the warning. And once the formatting is complete, you'll see that it gives you the file system it used, the capacity, free capacity, cluster size, and then volume label. So once that's finished, just go ahead and click on OK, and we can exit out of the SD card formatter. Now that our SD card is formatted, we just need to get the latest MemCard Pro GC firmware and OS files. So the link to the download page will be in the description below, and it'll bring you to a page that looks something like this. So just make sure you're grabbing the latest release. Don't pay attention to the version number as shown in this video because it could be different when you watch it in the future. So just make sure you have the latest release selected, and then just click on the download button. Now with the firmware and OS system files downloaded, just go ahead and get them extracted. They're once again in zip format, so any program should be able to extract these for you. Open up the folder, and inside you'll see a couple of different things. So the ones we're interested in are the OS folder and the mcp2gc.bin file. So go ahead and open up your micro SD card and drag these two files right on in. And with those in place, your initial SD card setup is now complete. So you can just go ahead and close out of these, safely eject your micro SD card from your computer, and we're ready to move over to the GameCube for a moment. So now from here, go ahead and get your micro SD card, insert it into the MemCard Pro GC's micro SD card port, or if you're using USB, get it powered up and then connect it to the micro USB port here on the front. So to make my life a little bit easier and make this video a lot less shaky, we're just going to plug it into the GameCube first and then put the micro SD card in. So just like that. And it does have that nice and wonderful push mechanism there for the SD card, so it's very nice. So now get it inserted into the GameCube if you haven't already, and turn the GameCube on and let it go through its initial firmware update and processing step. And be sure not to do anything on the GameCube while it is doing this, otherwise it could mess everything up. So just sit here patiently while it does its thing. And there we go. Update complete. Took about 2 minutes to get it all completely finished. And now it will create its first initial memory card for you to use on your GameCube. Alright. So just ignore the Splinter Cell thing on mine. I've been using it to transfer saves over already, so that was the last game I did, so it defaulted to that. So it should create a generic memory card for all of you in your initial setup. Now that the firmware has updated to the card and our SD card is in place, we're going to activate the Wi-Fi functionality of the MemCard Pro GC. So step 1 to doing this, hold both of the physical buttons on the card to enter into access point mode, and then release them to get the Wi-Fi setup instructions. Now we're going to go over to a phone, and we're going to connect the phone to the access point the Memory Card GC provides. So we're just going to scroll down here. And there we go, MemCard Pro's access point Wi-Fi network. So we're going to select that. And the password is MCP admin. And once that is completed, you'll see that it is connected to the device, but it can't access the internet, which is just fine. So now we're just going to open up a web browser, and we're going to type in the IP address listed here at the bottom of the OLED screen. So we're just going to select HTTPS .192.168.1 .4.1. And that will bring us to the Memory Card Pro GC Wi-Fi Setup Wizard, so you can read through this as you will. When you're done, click on Next. It will scan for Wi-Fi connections. So just select your home network Wi-Fi connection and then click on Next. Enter in your password. And then on the next screen, you can just read through all of the information here. And then when finished, click Join Network. And it will restart the Memory Card Pro to initialize the Wi-Fi access. And there we go. It will now be assigned an IP address for you to use. So now from any web-enabled device, you just need to go to the IP address that was listed on the MemCard Pro GC's OLED screen after the setup completed. So if you didn't happen to take note of it, you could just unplug the MemCard Pro GC, plug it back in, and when it reconnects, it will show you that IP address once again. So for my example, it was 192.168.1.205. And there it is. There is my MemCard Pro GC's web UI that will let me change settings for the MemCard Pro GC, as well as browse all the virtual memory cards that are in it or create new ones. So just a little about this screen, it'll show you the current memory card that has been created. So again, yours will probably be a generic one. I was messing around, or I was transferring saves, so this is the last one I had loaded up, so that is what it has done for me. But anyway, if we go into settings, you can see that you can enable Wi-Fi as well as an FTP server. So if you're going to enable FTP so you can remote manage this, you're going to need to set up a username and password. So just make it whatever you want. Next, you could turn the option on or off to just load the last card that was previously used. That is why mine's showing up as Splinter Cell. And then you could set the size that new cards will be created in. So 59 blocks is the smallest and default size. That'll be good for most things. 251 is a good medium ground for larger games that don't fit in a 59 block card. 507, and then of course 1019 being the largest available. Since I have a 32 gig card and don't really care about wasting space on it, I selected 1019 for the size of all my virtual memory cards. It's about 8 megabytes. Now for our hardware options, we have display saver mode, so you can dim the OLED screen or turn it off completely. Personal preference. And then you can also adjust the display brightness. And then it'll also let you know if there are any firmware updates available. But once you have everything set in here the way you like it, you can just go ahead and click on Save. Now to go back out to the main MemCard Pro GC screen, just click on the MemCard Pro GC up here, and that'll bring us back out to the main screen here. So clicking on the card browser, you can scroll through all the available virtual memory cards that are currently on your card. So again, I've already been using mine. I put my saves back on it now that we have the SD card set up complete, so you can see that I have some for a variety of games here. But I went ahead and loaded up my generic one for this next step of the process. So I loaded up just generic memory card 1. It is 1019 blocks to match the biggest size memory card available officially for the GameCube. But at any point, you can come in here, create new generic memory cards, change their sizes, name them whatever you want, as well as load up different memory cards at any point, as well as delete or edit names for any of them. But that pretty much sums it up for the web UI. It's very handy. You can change memory cards on the fly if you're not using Swiss, and just do things that way if you want. But we're going to just show off how to transfer saves over to just the generic memory card here real quick. All right, I went ahead and switched over to my other GameCube right now because this one has a GC loader in it. And I don't want to mess with some of the settings I have on there right now, so we're just going to use this one because it allows us to easily transfer GameCube memory cards as if it was a stock configuration, because guess what? Bam, that system is no longer modded. Hooray! But get your MemCard Pro GC inserted into one memory card slot, and then the GameCube memory card you want to transfer saves over from into the other. And then just go ahead and get it powered on and into the IPL menu. So now down in the GameCube Memory Card Manager, you can see our MemCard Pro GC is taking up slot A here, and then our other memory card that we're transferring saves from is over in slot B. So now you can just come in here and begin copying saves over one by one. This doesn't work for all saves, as some of them can be encrypted to a specific memory card. But even still, you can copy or move them. And you could just do this until the process is completed. But again, you will eventually come to a save file that will not let you move it. So to get these saves copied onto our MemCard Pro GC, we are going to need to use GCMM for Wii or GameCube. Now, unfortunately, this does mean you are going to need either a modded Wii or a homebrew-enabled GameCube. So for example, I have Pico Boot installed in here, so once I put this SD Gecko back in, my GameCube is now back in a modded state. So there we go. And then I'm going to get the memory card I want to back up, put it in slot A. So there we go. Now we'll get it booted on and go over the process. All right, so here we go. So for this, we are going to be using GCMM, GameCube Memory Card Manager. So just going to get booted up into this. Once GCMM has loaded up, we're going to back up our saves that we couldn't do in the GameCube Memory Card Manager. So pressing the Y button, we'll see all of our save files that are on the current memory card. So I'm going to go ahead and copy over my Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 saves because they are ones that won't transfer over and I actually have progress made on all of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all of my Phantasy Star Online ones. So there we go, that was my guild card. Now I need to find my character file. There we go. System file. Character file. And here we go, my Sega Network information file. But once you have all the saves backed up that you can't move through the GameCube Memory Card Manager, just go ahead and pull your old memory card out and replace it with the MemCard Pro GC. And then just wait for it to get loaded up into its generic memory card. And now by pressing the X button, we can restore our save files to our MemCard Pro GC. And then just press X again to go through all of the backed up save files to add them to the generic memory card. And now those saves should be usable from your MemCard Pro GC. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. All right. So first thing we can see is that all of our save files are on our MemCard Pro now. And by loading up into Phantasy Star Online, we can confirm that our saves are still working by going in and loading it up. And there we have it, all of my Phantasy Star Online saves working from the MemCard Pro GC from my original memory card, even though they are copy and serial number protected. So unfortunately, even if you have a stock system, you are going to need access to a homebrew enabled system to copy over these protected saves. Otherwise, they are just going to be stuck on the original memory card. Now, for any of you using Swiss and virtual memory cards, the process is going to be a bit different. The virtual memory card in slot A is what we're going to be writing from, and we need to write it to slot B. So we're going to insert our Memory Card Pro GC into slot B to do our save transfers. The other advantage with Swiss is that it will create virtual memory cards for every single individual title. That way you never have to worry about running out of space. Even though you could create as many virtual cards as you want, this might be a preferred method for a lot of you out there, but do know it will take a lot more time to copy saves over because of it. So just some settings here that we want to make sure are enabled on Swiss. If you press the B button on your controller, go over to the settings icon. Now press your right trigger to move over a couple pages here. And we want to make sure Disable MemCard Pro Game ID is set to off. This way it will send the Game ID to the MemCard Pro and it will create the virtual memory cards as needed. And again, if you're using a virtual memory card and you want to transfer saves off of it, make sure that you have virtual memory cards still enabled. And the last setting you need to have enabled is to boot through the GameCube IPL. That way you can access the GameCube's memory card management screen. So once you have all these set, make sure you save the config. And now you can just load up games that you want to transfer saves to. So for this example, we're going to use Yu-Gi-Oh! Falsebound Kingdom because I need to move my save over for this one still. So just make sure you're holding down the A button. So that way when you're booting into the game, it will boot you back into the GameCube IPL. So just keep holding down A. And you'll end up on the GameCube IPL so that way you can copy memory card saves over. And as you can see, the MemCard Pro has created a virtual memory card for Yu-Gi-Oh! Falsebound Kingdom that we can now copy our save into its own dedicated virtual memory card. So in the GameCube IPL, we just need to scroll down here until we find it. I already passed it up. There it is, Yu-Gi-Oh! Falsebound Kingdom. And I'm just going to move it over to its new home on my MemCard Pro GC. There we go. And again, this is a rinse and repeat process. So now that I've copied Yu-Gi-Oh! Over, I'm going to load up the next game in my list. So Beautiful Joe. Head down to the memory card manager. And I'm just going to move that save right on over. Now, as for transferring copy protected saves into dedicated virtual memory cards, the process is just a couple steps longer, but it's essentially you go in, load up the game in question. So for example, we're going to load up Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 Plus again. And once the MemCard Pro has created a dedicated VMC for it, we're just going to go ahead and reboot to Swiss and load up GCMM to back up our save file. So we're just going to reboot the GameCube. Actually, we're going to take the MemCard Pro GC out, put our dedicated memory card back in. There we go. And boot into Swiss and load up GCMM. And now the process is the same if you were just going to be doing it on a dedicated memory card. So we're going to go ahead and press Y to back up all of our Phantasy Star Online saves. And now that those are all backed up, I'm going to take my memory card out of slot A and replace it with my MemCard Pro GC. Now you need to have the setting Mount Last Memory Card option enabled, or use the web UI to select and mount your dedicated save slot for the game in question. But once you have the right virtual memory card selected, you can just press the X button to begin restoring your saves. So there we go. And then just repeat the process as needed for all of your copy protected saves into dedicated virtual memory cards on the MemCard Pro GC. But then you can confirm that it's working by launching the game in question. So here we go, just to confirm. There are all of my Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 Plus save files right there. Now, for anybody that is a fan of Dolphin and has created a number of save files on the Dolphin emulator itself, there's a couple of things you can do to get these saves onto the MemCard Pro GC as well. So if you're working with raw memory card files, so for example, this is the one from my GC loader, you can select it inside of your GameCube settings. You select the memory card, load up the raw memory card file, and then if you head into the tools section here and load up the memory card manager, you will see all of the save files that are included on it. And then you could easily export these as GCI files. And what I like to do is export them as GCI files onto my GameCube's SD Gecko or SD to SP2 or GC loader memory card into GCMM's backup folder. GCMM just ensures that copy protected saves work correctly, so that's why I really recommend using that. But for example, you could just export it as a GCI. Navigate to your SD card, put it in that memory card backup folder just like this, and then save it. You could also do that with any other number of save files. And of course, this is even easier if you have your memory card set to be a GCI folder, because then you can just open it up, open up the region your saves are from, and then copy the GCI files directly into your SD card. But then you would restore them with GCMM using the previously outlined method. But there you have it. Complete setup of the MemCard Pro's SD card, web UI, and transferring all of your GameCube saves onto it, whether you are using physical memory cards or virtual. I hope this video helps you get your MemCard Pro GC set up and running to your desires, so that way you can enjoy your GameCube library without any fear of running out of save space anytime in the near future. But thank you so much as always for watching. Here at the end, I do have a couple of big favors to ask. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to hit that thumbs up, thumbs down button, depending on how much you like today's tutorial, as well as that sub button and notification bell so you can see when new videos go live on the channel. Loads of content always coming your way, and I'd love to have each and every one of you along for the ride. For anyone interested in further helping support the channel and keep it going, you can also check out that join button here on YouTube or the Patreon link in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. A little goes a long way to keeping this place up and running and bringing all of this content directly to you. Big shout out to all of our current backers. Thank you so much as always for believing in what we do here and helping us keep it going. You're the truest of champs. We could not do it without you. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, you all stay awesome, keep on gaming, and we will see you back next video.